Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 487. This is your guide to the geek side, and I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra, from Minnesota, home of the Vikings, home of our future VP, Tim Walz. Big Dad Energy coming at you.
Oh my gosh. Wow, we actually took a stance on something political, but you know what? This presidential race isn't even really political anymore. I'm Charlie Carden, and I'm advertising my favorite compass direction. I'm just kidding. I live in a little town called East Grand Rapids. We're very much about the merch, and it's cold today. Is it cold where you are? This just weather was just very weird, very gray and windy. Gray and windy.
Not bad.
So yeah, it led me being in sweats and cooling out after my morning pickleball and mowing the lawn. So, you know, just a very Pleasant Valley Saturday kind of day. But that is not why you tuned in, friends. You tuned in to listen to us, give us you all the hot takes and about stuff like D23 and other things that we are enjoying. But first and foremost, as always, got to pay those bills. Talking about our good folks that make it possible for us to provide you all that great content over on our Secret Friends Unite Patreon. If you visit patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite, exclusive shows, no ads, awesome Discord benefits as low as $2 a month, and a free 7-day trial when you sign up. We've got a great new Patreon podcast only, Todd. I saw you drop that just today. So that's something for folks to enjoy. And Mark has a new show over on our has a new program called Walk Nerdy with Me, where he talks about his thoughts as he wanders the lean, mean streets of Nova Scotia, that lovely little island that he lives on. So at any rate, lots of fun stuff. Again, patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite, 7 days for free. And if you like what you love, stick around on our besties level. Chris 1H1D, Derek Trevelyan, aka the Figure Dude, my partner in crime when it comes to action figures. Francie, would love to know you. XCP, and my uncle Tim Horan, great guy, gave me a check for $24 and became a year's worth of a Patreon. On our Friends with Benefits level, John Sedorf, the awesome Phoenix Sisters Entertainment, our friend Kelly, who we just recorded with this week to talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and she's working a con this weekend dressed up as Green Lantern. I love it. And her partner Crayley, Brendan Myers, Corey HD, and Matthew Keel. And Todd,
this is you right there. I was going to say, well, we are making a change to our tiers. We said goodbye to one of our tiers, got rid of it. It's one of our legacy tiers, and we were requested to create a family tier. So basically, if you want to have a lot of people share it, it's open now. It's a little higher priced, but it's really everybody in the sun for families. And that is the Secret Friends Super Squad. So if you're interested in that, that is Sean, Stella, and Henry Nias.
No surprise. Best folks.
Yes.
Best folks.
They want to support us. They're Sean and his family are great friends. So if you're interested in any of these, by all means, check them out. Free trial, $1 even helps us. And if you don't want to be, spending some cash, spend a little bit of your social capital and share that you enjoy our shows with others, like our stuff, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also give us a rating on Ye Old Podcasts. Yeah, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Now it's YouTube Podcasts. I don't believe you can actually rate those, but you can watch our content there on YouTube, like us there, and then Apple as well.
Excellent. All right. Thus we wrap up the commercial portion. But again, the Nice family, thank you so much. Love you guys. Sean was also a guest on our Patreon only podcast that we just did. So great guy. My first chance to meet him virtually, but I'm sure one day our mutual friend Brian Cole talks about getting us all together in Chicago at some point. So nudge, nudge. Why don't y'all make that happen? Because I would love to do that. All right, let's move on. May of 1964, mere months after the Beatles stormed these shores and was on the Ed Sullivan Show in February of that year, we got issue number 87 of DC's The Doom Patrol, the world's strangest heroes. Now, this cover, we got a lot going on here. We're at the Federal Reserve Bank. We have two folks, guy and a gal, in matching suits. Green jumpers, though the lady has a skirt because, of course, it's the 60s. But this gentleman who's stripping off bandages around his head, revealing beautiful locks, could be Duke from G.I. Joe for all you know. He says, only I can stop these mechanical soldiers by removing my radioactive bandages. And I feel like this plays into the show, but you can educate me in a moment here. But the raids can destroy you too, Elastigirl. I assume referring to the woman running behind him. She doesn't seem to be moving too quickly, nor does she look elastic. The terrible secret of Negative Man. He needs to just get more positive. It finally is revealed when the Brotherhood of Evil strikes again. The Brotherhood of Evil being these army guys in metal that don't really look very threatening because they seem to be marching in a straight line, and they do not seem to have any kind of leg articulation, so it seems like knocking them over would be pretty easy. Todd, thoughts?
Well, that is not the Brotherhood of Evil. That is basically just 10 soldiers that the Brotherhood of Evil has created.
Not
so scary. The Doom Patrol is a team of people who had tragic backgrounds that gained abilities based on those tragic backgrounds. Elastigirl lost control of her shape. And then we've got Negative Man, who was in a terrible accident and had to basically be wrapped up in these radioactive bands to control his energy.
And that was
when he released it.
I'm trying to remember from the show, because Elastigirl was in the show. Was the other character, was that Alan Tudyk's character? Because Brendan Fraser was the robot.
No. Alan Tudyk was the bad guy. Gotcha. No, Matt Balmer was.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Cliff. We had Cliff, Suits. The one character. Right. And then Rita is Elastigirl. Larry is a Negative Man. We also had Robot Man, played by Brendan Fraser. And then we had the Chief, was kind of like their leader, who was played by Timothy
Chalamet,
the Bond.
Oh, Timothy Dalton.
Yes, Timothy Dalton. Yes, so he played the Chief. So, and then the Brotherhood of Evil was the Brain. So basically, a brain in a jar had a robotic voice. Monsieur Malo, which was a super intelligent ape, and Madame Rouge, who was a bad lady.
I should get back around to watching that show. How it's over now, obviously. How many seasons did they crank out? Was it 2 or 3?
I believe it was 3 seasons, 4 seasons maybe. Great show, but definitely a different type of superhero film. Very weird, very emotional, a lot of broken people with broken baggage.
Oh boy, yeah, got to be in a certain mood for it. So, well, speaking of people with broken, what did you just say? Broken people, broken
baggage, because even their baggage is broken.
Oh my God! You know who it also has problems with luggage? That would be our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb. I mean, hey, check that out, Sparty. Her baggage is so broken, she's not left the corner of Hollywood and Vine in 29 years. She's down there working it, but still, since the invention of the internet in particular, has been able to get us the hottest news and scoops. And she's right around the corner from Anaheim, California, which is currently the focus of so much excitement going on. Let's get over there and let her tell us all about it.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's Rumors and News. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Well, I'm sure you've been watching the Olympics, and you're just a little jealous because as you watch the breakdancing part of the Olympics, which is actually a real thing, you're thinking, man, I should have been there, because she would have been the #1 senior performing breakdance artist, because she would at least broken a hip and maybe a knee.
I don't really think that's how breakdancing works, but I admire your zeal. No, I like and best to pump up a member of our team. All right. Well, not the only thing, but the biggest thing to talk about is in the last 24 hours, Disney has been having their star-studded D23 event. Now, the D in D23 is obvious. What's the 23?
Good question. It's been D23 has been around for some time.
Because it's not like they call it, it's not like they keep slapping. It's not like next year be D24.
There was
it's not like that.
Refers to the 23 in 1923, which is the year that the company was formed.
So this is like Disney 101. believe it or not.
Mhm.
I mean, had
It
they
is.
had this event every year in that time,
Used
which
to
is
be there was a
probably not.
magazine too before they actually had the event hasn't been around for 100 years. The
Right.
actual magazine started it, and then they created an event following the magazine.
Oh, very good.
So
Gotcha.
probably
But
like 20 some odd years.
so anyway, highlights so far have included stars like Dwayne Johnson and Lin-Manuel Miranda, introducing trailers for Mustafa, the Lion King, couldn't care less, but that's me personally. Snow White, which you've got Wonder Woman as the evil queen. That's even my wife is like, nah, I don't think she's ugly enough. Need to find somebody uglier. I'm like, it's the movies. You
Well,
gotta
the
have
evil
somebody
queen was
pretty.
pretty attractive. I think she just wanted to always be the most
Yes.
attractive woman in all the land.
And that's what I said. I'm like, well, she's a cartoon. So, I mean, the her witch form was obviously unattractive. But anyway, Moana 2, again, not my cup of tea. And James Cameron teased Avatar 3, and we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, we've got other big rollouts from this, including, I touched Snow White, new version of Freaky Friday. Freaky Friday 3.
Freakier Friday, yeah.
I guess. A new feature-length-ish trailer for Agatha All Along, which we are getting in a little over a month. A big tease about Daredevil Born Again, bringing back the original squad. We're getting back, Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, who I met last year, very, very nice guy, Deborah Ann Wall, Eldon Henson, and John Bernthal as the Punisher. That's kind of crazy. So that means these are, and we've talked about this for many months, they're all now canonical to 616 because that is where this is set, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. And I still think they are versions of those characters, but not the same. I could be
Netflix
wrong
characters.
because once again, we already got the Kingpin, who is
Yeah.
definitely more powerful than the one we
Definitely
had.
yeah,
And then we had
you're
Charlie
right.
Cox showed up in a different costume who was more
Yeah, kind
witty.
of-
So I'm thinking
more
that's
witty.
fine.
Yeah.
If they can play
makes-
the character again, just give it a
Make-
new take on it.
Make some tweaks, definitely.
Yeah.
Ironheart, now you said you saw a bootleg clip of this. I did not. So
Yeah.
what did you think?
So this is really post Black Panther, Wakanda. She is in school and she's frustrated because she, she's one of the smartest people in the land and wants to do well. One of her advisors at MIT is actually the dean from Community, which is pretty cool. And it's about her family, and she wants to really build a suit. She doesn't have the resources to do so. So she essentially finds some people that say, hey, I can get you some money to get what you need and maybe some things, which
Ruh-roh.
happens to be the guy that says that happens to be Anthony Ramos, who is playing the Hood. If you remember, that's they're bringing the Hood character into this. So basically, she gets wrapped up in some bad behavior. She's still living home with her family, so it's a little bit of that. And it's going to have Thorne. Dominique Thorne, who played Riri Williams. We've got Anthony Ramos, Lyric Ross, Eldon Ehrenreich,
Han Solo. Oh my gosh,
Regan Aaliyah, and Ryan Coogler is one of the executives of the show.
Which is, of course, he made the.
It looks fun. I mean, it looks fun. And with
That's
the Red Hood being involved, that's kind of cool. It's a character we've
Right.
never seen on screen before. So
Well, he is the Hood, not the Red Hood. Red Hood is DC.
Oh, that's right. And,
Yes.
quite honestly, they have to build up Riri Williams because they need an Iron Man. So
Yeah,
let's just be honest.
They need an Iron Woe Man. Yes, absolutely
yes.
correct.
We also got Tron Ares being shown. Jeff Bridges was there, and Jared Leto, not playing Morbius, was there as well. And then we're going to have Nine Inch Nails doing the soundtrack, which was a big deal because Daft Punk did the soundtrack for the last one, which is music is a big part of Tron.
Right.
So that is very cool.
Don't forget soundtrack for the very first one back in the 80s, Journey.
I think of Journey with their covers and their video game. Yeah, I mean, they're all there.
That's a hot tune. Yeah,
we did get images of the actual Fantastic Four costume, which looks a little more practical, more like a jumpsuit. Which makes sense. I mean, kind of like not leather and pleather and things like that.
Yeah, I mean that is more to the point. Most comic outfits, for like Spider-Man, it's the underoos. You know what I mean? But even in the MCU, they've kind of fancied this up. But again,
I had underoos and I did not look that cool as Spider-Man.
Well, you weren't doing the right number.
Briefs and a t-shirt.
Yeah,
it's a little different.
I think if Spider-Man was fighting in that, they probably end up calling somebody. Could be breaking some laws right there. But yeah, if you think about it, back in the time, the 60s and such, the jumpsuit would kind of seems appropriate. But big rollout was seeing a little bit of footage of the other guy who played Han Solo hulking out with his big Hulk kind of boobs and nips. I noticed. I saw the image.
Pectorals? I think when he's got his pecs, Charlie.
That's the word.
Those aren't any man boobs. Hulk has never had man boobs. Sorry.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't have the middle-aged Hulk. But anyway, yeah, that was pretty cool. You do see the presidential podium, and then you see the Red Hulk rise up, and Harrison.
They just giving away too much. I mean,
you don't know how it happened, but yeah, I mean, come on. They've got to keep hyping it up. They've got to get on this train. Ryan Reynolds showed up, took a couple of jabs and stabs at Feige. I'm going to introduce the original Marvel Jesus himself, Mr. Kevin Feige. Okay, he was maybe kissing a little bit of butt, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is movie. They got to hype up, the fact that, hey, they made this big movie. They do that. Quite honestly, nobody cares. Mandalorian Grogu. We just started filming this, so that's that. And
it's actually, there's a Star Wars movie that's actually in production. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I'm wondering, once you've got this on the big screen and it looks like a big movie,
right?
Is it tough to go back to like having all these characters back to a TV series where it looks like,
hey, the X-Files,
a lot less budget? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right, exactly, correct. So, Andor, we know season 2 is coming. Doesn't really mention a date here, but we do know that
2025.
Alan Tudyk will be returning, and Bendo Mendo, which is very exciting. And then other big trailer is Skeleton Crew. Are kid-centric. We're definitely not ripping off Star Trek Prodigy. Kid Star Wars show. I can hear the complaining now, because that's what Star Wars fans do. Out of the series that was originally meant for children. Now it's about children, so let the complaining begin. And we have one adult, and it's Jude Law. And he's Force sensitive. Time frame of this is the Mando time frame, if I'm not mistaken. I know Mark and I will definitely drill down more about this with a guest next week, when we're talking about our big wrap up at the Alkalite. We'll talk about this as well. So.
It reminds me of, definitely gives you Amblin vibes, like something that Steven Spielberg would do. And the movie that I thought of when I saw that was Explorers, quite honestly. More so than I
kind of like something that felt like a contemporary setting. Like it was set in the suburbs.
Yeah, Star Wars suburbs.
So you saw cars going by and people walking their dog. I feel like you saw somebody walking a dog or something. I just thought that was kind of cool. All right, let me.
I think it's had like the kids are just looking for adventure. They're not like escaping anything. Like they're criminals, which is fun. They run into trouble, which the tone, quite honestly, feels nice for a change with Star Wars, where everything has been so dour and not fun. It's been like everybody's, and that's where like people sometimes forget Star Wars should have a little bit of fun, a little bit of levity to balance out the really hard stuff. And it's like we've completely forgotten that. It just becomes like our people, everybody dies, and they're not really dead because lightsaber wounds don't kill anybody.
Edgelords and explosions. All right, well, let's try to wrap this up with the bow. A couple of animated picks. A third Frozen movie, not a big surprise. Another Zootopia movie. I remember enjoying that.
Zootopia was great. Yeah,
that was a favorite of my late
son.
And
Ki Huy Kwan is going to be in that, which is great.
Love seeing him come roaring back. A new Incredibles movie. The original Incredibles was my favorite Pixar film. Probably still is. Third film for that, I think, in 26, I'm guessing. Toy Story 5 was the other big drop. And of course, we got a very itty bitty clip for that. That was just the claw grabbing the little fella.
Yeah. And that's about toys versus tech. So that's very timely, actually. Like kids, tech taking away kids from toys. I like that they're doing that, so they can hit some timely themes versus, they've already explored everything else when it comes to kids and toys and growing up. One that looks interesting is called Hoppers, Charlie. John Hamm and Bobby Moynihan will lead the body swap movie about a beaver and a human who exchange bodies. I love it. I love John Hamm. I love
What?
Bobby Moynihan. Yeah, it's
He is
great.
fantastic. In news that will surprise no one, Pixar, which now has the #1 animated film of all time with Inside Out 2, will have a TV spinoff. It
Called
sounds
Dream
like
Productions.
yeah, it sounds like next year. So that
Yeah.
that'll be fun. I know that we'll enjoy that. But let's see here. What else? Scrolling down, Moana 2.
Avatar, Fire and Ash,
Yeah.
Charlie. That's
Did
going to
you- did
be
you-
the
did you
top
know-
3
did you know-
movies.
Did you notice me skip over it? And then what was something called Monster Jam, something that involves monster trucks. You know that shit is going to fail. Don't you remember the last monster truck?
Oh, not
thing
that. No. Monster Jam is a huge brand, though. That thing is
is it?
huge. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I took my son to it when he was in the Boy Scouts. Kids love it. They got video games. Monster truck. Not that monster movie where there's a monster in a truck, which was
Right,
the dumbest ass thing
exactly.
in the world.
But let's face it, is Dwayne Johnson's star really flying high these days? I'm just saying.
Well, maybe he's a monster truck. Oh, no, it's like, see, what does this say? What does this say? I'm trying to see if it says, we can create something that's immersive and cool and fun. These incredible monster trucks and their eccentric owners. Okay.
This from
don't
the
know
guy.
them.
This from the guy who staged an imaginary coup over the DC cinematic universe.
It was January 7th, I believe, is when he did that, Charlie.
You're on
did
fire
I say
today.
that?
With
Did I do that?
Oh my god! Did
Mm.
I do that? Oh my god! All right, so let's move in. I want you to grab us with it. So that wraps up D23 for now. Was that all the reveals we're expecting?
I mean, there were some other things. They had a lot of
Yeah.
performances on stage. I think they even talked about their Broadway stuff and some of the stuff that's going to happen at their amusement parks, because obviously that's a big part of it with Disney.
Right.
So, but yeah, one of the things that has come out of like discussions about X-Men 97 is the fact that they are going to be dipping into a new era with the X-Men, which I find very fun. And that's the new X-Men era, which was Grant Morrison, where they ended up having some very unique and iconic storylines. The character Zorn was created, which is a big old crazy thing. A lot of their more weird looking mutants, and then the iconic all black with the big X's on the front of their
right.
Emma Frost became a big part of X-Men, and that's where Cassandra Nova was created. So
now that's kind of aping the look that we saw a little bit cinematically speaking that we saw in X-Men First Class, because those outfits were kind of like that.
Yeah, and also I think it wasn't aped in like the later films too, the Dark Phoenix one as well.
Did they continue to wear those? It's possible. It's possible.
So. Yeah.
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 But I'm just looking at this art. This also had Beast looking a little bit more like a lemur or something, like an ocelot.
No more like panther like. Or cat.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, this images, they're all, cool guys walk away from explosions. And yeah, it was Beast, Jean, Logan, Scott, and then, like you said, Emma Frost. So yeah, that sounds awesome. So that's going into season 2, which has already been produced.
Yeah.
Then we know there's a season 3 coming out as well. So yeah, I mean, that show was a huge runaway success, and everybody adored it. So yeah, strike while the iron is hot, without a doubt.
Yeah, that was a kind of a miss for me at D23, Charlie, was the fact that nothing about the Spider-Man cartoon.
Oh wow,
freshman class. Nothing about the Marvel Zombies, and nothing about What If season 3.
Right. So, which I would expect we would get. Was that last summer that we had season 2?
Sure.
So
maybe.
yeah, so I would be expecting that next summer, I would think, because they pretty much spaced them apart by 2 years. Because I think the first season came out in 21. So very interesting.
Yeah, 2023, December 2023. So it wasn't even that long. It's like 6-7 months, 8 months ago.
That's right. And they did it at the holidays, but they put out a new one every day. And then I read something later like, well, you probably didn't see it because it came out once a day at the holidays. How would that mean you didn't see it? It's streaming. It's just, if it's out,
I know,
you sit down and just, it's funny how there's still the perspective that people think about television in such a classic, like, oh, it's Thursday and I missed my show. What am I going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just, it's on streaming.
But there's also so much there. If you don't remind people and tell them right away, Charlie, It's forgotten and buried under your menus of like, hey, good luck.
That is, and in some ways, it's almost impassable as the old system of you can't access it because it's here and it's gone.
That's why a lot of these event shows do so well, because everybody is waiting for the next episode of this or that, and it's exciting.
Exactly, which we will talk about that in the Geekies. All right, well, what's up with these? What's up with the WB? Are they losing money? Is that why they're selling things off?
They have lost a ton of money, and their stock price, Charlie, has lost 70% since they merged.
Ooh.
Yeah, when WB and Discovery merged, it was bad juju. They took on a lot of debt to just combine, which was bad. So it's a hot mess. So they're trying to find any way they can to save money. That's why you saw Batman, Cape Crusader go to Amazon Prime, which is like the old model where you had like Fox shows on NBC. That's why you're like constantly telling me, hey, Oxtra, I know Young Sheldon it's not made by CBS, so it shows up next. I know, but it's still a show on CBS. That's what I always think of it. Yep. So basically, one of the things they've been doing is really cutting out a lot of animated stuff. That Coyote versus Acme movie just was shelved and basically taken down a write-down, so that won't get made, or it was already made and just never going to be released, which sucks. And so now we have this Fixed movie, which this one's really interesting. This is by Genndy Tartakovsky. It's an R-rated animated film called Fixed. And it's about a dog who finds out he's going to be fixed, then creates a bucket list before he gets fixed. And it's R-rated.
That sounds adorable. It's weird, but
yeah, like that movie Strays. I really enjoyed that movie Strays, which was about, it was a live action and a movie with dogs with like Will Ferrell and a bunch of others. Very funny movie. And and he said he was inspired by films like The 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up.
Yeah, I thought it looked atrocious, but you said you really enjoyed it, The Strays?
Oh, it was funny. Yeah, I mean, dogs doing stupid stuff. I mean, it's that type of comedy. It's not like Shakespeare, man. It's dogs talking about pooping on things. There was a couple scenes that poop was involved, and it made me laugh.
I don't know that anyone would have thought it was Shakespeare, but all right. So shelved. So I'm always curious if shelved mean shelved forever or it would be sold, like, because like Star Trek Prodigy briefly went on a shelf, and this was last summer.
Well,
strike.
This one's actually been given back to. So this one has actually been given back to Sony Pictures, which is now going to try to find someone to stream or distribute the movie. So originally, I guess Sony actually produced it and Warner Brothers was going to distribute it. So it's more of a distribution deal. But the other part is that's frustrating is Genndy Tartakovsky has a huge deal with Warner Brothers and Cartoon Network. So kind of like you got to treat your artists well. Deal. And Yeah, exactly. So that's one of them. So hopefully this finds a good story. The next one is a good story because there is a new Looney Tunes movie coming out called The Day the Earth Blew Up. I saw a clip of it. It's very funny, very classic Looney Tunes. More feels like a throwback, like in the old style than like the Space Jam, which I like. And we really haven't gotten great Looney Tunes in quite some time. And
it's evergreen, but it's hardly evergreen if it never sees the light of day again. So
no. But this one's was scrapped by Max, but was picked up by this GFM Animation 2022, and so basically they'll manage the distribution and get that out in theaters. So this is good news. I don't want to see works that people make just go ahead and get never seen. Like we're never going to see Batgirl. And we're never going to see Coyote versus Acme. Yeah. Although
I thought you were going to say
based on a lot of things from DC, I don't know if anybody really should see it, but
I thought you were going to say
Snyder Cut.
I thought you were going to say Coyote Ugly too, which of course we talked about Coyote Ugly on our Patreon just last week. But crazy. Yes, the more the deals go down, the cut downs, the breakdowns, we shall see. So anyway, that takes us out of the news. We're really cranking along, but time to get up my feeble Uber app, my Fuber app. Got to get us a cab to get us over to Scugtown, Nastyville. The Geek Easy awaits, where we talk about things that we're enjoying, but we get in that funky dunky cab. It smells like feet, but the guy flips on his AM radio, and I hear this advertisement.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencaster. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencaster is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution, provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencaster because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencaster has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencaster? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencaster. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencaster's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencaster's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to Zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy cover bands playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So we start with one of the big shows that has now come to a close, and that is House of the Dragon Season 2. The season finale was last Sunday, and boy, oh boy, we now know the show's going to last 4 seasons, and thank God it has an ending, because I feel like after the finale, we were going to have a stretch.
Yes,
that pizza dough was going to be really thin.
Anyone who's ever worked in theater does know this. The stretch.
Yes, or keep riffing people live on TV news. Our clip isn't working.
Oh, I thought you could say on a TV news is good. I was thinking more on like a telethon. You're like, we're having technical difficulties.
We know we need more banter. Please banter.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. How about the weather?
They don't have to worry so much about the banter on this, multi-million-dollar show.
No, there's not a lot of banter in House of the Dragon, but
everyone's
so
very
House
serious.
of the Dragon. I was watching this, Charlie, and I'm like, oh, okay, we got some stuff going on here. We've got more dragon riders. There's a little frustration between the new dragon riders, who are a little bit of a mixed bag. We've got
a little more. They're a little more rural, as it were.
Yeah. We've got Bela, who's finally stopped running after feel like she's been running for 3 episodes looking for something.
Was she like Run Lola Run? Remember that old movie from the 90s? Just
kind of, yeah. She's looking for something, and she finds a dragon because she wants to ride, and so she finds a dragon, and then we've got a lot of crazy stuff going on with Aegon is feeling like he's gonna be Dunzo. So he and the bad dude, the little birds man who with the limp,
little bird man.
Little bird man with the limp.
So it's Aegon and the little bird man. So now we are talking about radio again. Yeah,
exactly. Very worried about what's going to happen to them, because essentially just like Alicent also feeling kind of like she's in a bad spot. She even goes and kind of tries to fend Menses. Yeah,
you're gonna and when you say Alicent, it of course makes me want to think of that great song by Elvis Costello, Alicent. This world is killing you. Anyway, yes. So fences mended, whatever it is, but it was nice to have a cliffhanger that wasn't based in like the big violent, like the cliffhanger of the first season was like one dragon bit the other dragon in half, and it was like, oh shit, what's going to happen now?
Getting killed the son, and
exactly.
Oh crap, how you gonna walk that one back?
that's what really drove the plot line for this season. But yeah, it's cool to see like the clouds of war, like, oh man, it's really, things are really going to go down, and the pieces on the board are moving, and yeah, all very, this is, fantasy has never really been my thing. This is such an epic poem in scale, and like you said, how nice it is that this is a story that, like, I would liken it to Battlestar Galactica, also 4 seasons. I don't know how succinctly they knew, okay, this is where it's going to end, but it did have a very definitive ending. Like it or hate it, which I love the end of that show. I've talked about that many times, and of course we're covering it on the Patreon as well. But so that's your vibe. You think that when they get to that, season 4, episode 10, it's going to be like, this is an end, it's over.
Well, they have the source materials. It's already been written by George R. Martin long ago. This is a self-contained story, so he actually finished this. So that's a good thing. So there's source material. Exactly. Versus the other series where I don't know how long has it been? Was it 2019 when Game of Thrones ended?
That sounds about right. Yeah, was it the last 2
before
seasons
COVID hit? I think.
Wasn't it the last 2 seasons where they were kind of freeballing it and just be like, let's just do this thing?
And George R. R. Martin still hasn't finished. Not even the last book. He hasn't finished the book he had been working on. So people still waiting. If they hoped that he had finished it, we'd have gotten like 8 more shitty seasons.
I was going to say, there's no chance that he will live long enough to finish those books. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen.
Well, that's why he has the White Walkers ready, Charlie, to write his books.
a ghostwriter. Ooh. Yeah. There you go.
So a little disappointed because previously on other seasons usually end on a big cliffhanger. This one just feels like the cliff is still a couple yards away. So we didn't get to the big battle.
Giving you a chance to build your imagination. But like you said, they've got to save a big battle because there'll be a big battle in the first part of the next season, and that'll lead to a different twist, which then they'll end on another cliffhanger that's a little underwhelming, and then it'll be the final season where it's balls to the wall craziness.
Yeah.
You gotta have faith in lots of dragons. Yes, exactly.
So essentially this was the, we're forming the team, and where you got to recruit these guys. It was recruiting a bunch of dragon riders. So
it was. It was
good enough.
Like from Deadpool 2, put X-Force together. Yeah. Oh my gosh, good stuff. All right, well, we both saw a film, and I'm not going to lie to you. April and I both had a great nap in the middle of the second act.
Ah, really? Okay. So we did see Borderlands.
Yes. Boy.
I will say, and I know this is going to be a little bit, like trying to make sense of this whole movie, but if you have not played Borderlands, this is Borderlands. I mean, that's not like saying it like destroyed the license. This is what Borderlands is. I mean, but Borderlands, what also it is a lot of shooting things yourself. So you're engaged in the world, it's a wacky world, a lot of that infantile humor. Tiny Tina is a crazy chick who throws bombs and does this stuff. And so if you're thinking they destroyed the material, they didn't. They just made a Borderlands. I mean,
that's not what I thought at all. What I did think is that this was one of the worst films I've seen in a very, very long time.
I thought it was completely adequate. Every Fast and Furious film is far worse than this film, man. The dialogue and the acting is far better than this, than those movies. Yeah.
Do you see me talking up Fast and Furious? Because I've never done that.
But you didn't say those are the worst movies you've ever seen.
No, I literally said this was the worst movie I've seen in a long time.
Oh, okay.
That is what I said. Because, again, you had a talented cast, not counting Kevin Hart, because I know you're not.
I thought he didn't play Kevin Hart. I thought he played against his type. He wasn't. That
was kind of true because he wasn't funny at all. I agree with you.
And the character of Roland is not funny. That's the thing. So I think he played to the role.
You look at it, and I kept screwing. I kept wanting to call her Tilda Swinton, but it was a Kate Blanchett. Jamie Lee, Ariana Greenblatt, who's in everything these days. I don't know. And again, I'm not alone in feeling this way because this film is not likely to clear 10 million domestic. It's getting a D or a D minus by most all critics, 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. Todd, I know you love to stand alone, so I think you're standing alone on this one.
Well, I just think people are just there's a lot of people that pile on stuff. I thought this movie was perfectly mediocre. I didn't say it was a good film. I just don't think it's the worst movies ever because I think there are far more. The Transformers movies are far worse.
I wasn't even. I'm not even comparing it to anything. Because you're right. I couldn't compare it to Fast
I don't
and
think
Furious.
it's one of the worst movies I've
Yeah.
seen this year.
Well, what's the worst movie you've seen this year?
God, that's a good question. I have to look back.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
You see, because it just tends to favor.
Well, if it's
quickly.
worst, I mean, like I said, mediocre. I'm not going to remember this film for being one of the worst films ever. I'm just going to remember
No,
it was a movie that happened, and I'm like,
right.
yeah.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, we saw The Strangers Part 1. That was particularly bad.
Okay.
God, what other movies? You're right.
I just think this movie wasn't remarkable enough to be bad. I just thought it was remarkable to be boring and kind of bland.
I mean, does something have to be remarkable to be bad, or can it just be bad but not
Well, I
remarkably
mean,
so?
I guess, but the writing was
I don't
kind
get
of
it.
spot on for what a Borderlands is. So I didn't think the writing was that horrible.
I mean, and that's
the immature nature of it and some of
Yeah.
the Jack Black jokes. That's claptrap. Like you could watch. So I'm just
Right.
saying, based on, I mean, if you have never played, like, this is a horror thing. I'm like, but this is what Borderlands is. So it's like kind of like
But
saying,
I'm sure
if you don't have
can.
any-
Yeah, I'm sure you can agree. That's why people aren't seeing it. Because if you're not,
Correct.
if they saw a trailer and was like, oh, this kind of has that Guardians of the Galaxy vibe, which was a huge success because they whatever it is that they nailed, they took an unknown property for the most part, injected a lot of jokey humor into it. There's a tree, there was a raccoon, blah. There was a wisecracking guy who loved music from the '80s. That all clicked.
It was also directed by James Gunn, who is a far better director than Eli Roth. So
Oh,
I
yeah,
think.
Because Eli Roth is like a lot of low budget, like Blumhouse stuff, isn't he? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
No, I mean, he did Hostel and stuff like that. So he does like
Oh,
horror
ugh,
films and stuff.
that movie.
But I mean, at least
Right.
Guardians of the Galaxy has good material. This is, like I said, this is Borderlands. So I think people are like, oh, like, this is what Borderlands is. And
Right.
this is what I was expecting with a Borderlands film. And like, it's not horrible. It's just bland and feels dated. And
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because we saw it last night, not the first showing. Which should be this was like a 6:30 showing in one of the smaller theaters at Celebration, and there were a decent amount of people in it. So I would expect, I guess I would expect it to be doing better than they're predicting. But again,
I was the only one in my theater, Charlie. So no, this movie is going to do bad. It's going to be horrible. And I think part of the problem is this. I would say this is like Twisted Metal. This is at the same level of that Twisted Metal show on Peacock. And once again, that's a show on Peacock.
Twisted Metal. I was going to say, I was thinking of Metal Gear or something. I'm like, that's a video game. I don't know. But the Twisted Metal show, I remember enjoying that. I guess I feel it. Yeah.
Were a TV show on Peacock versus a movie. So like I said, those two shows, this and Twisted Metal, I'd say are essentially identical. And that's what I'm saying. I just feel like it is what it is.
I mean, I feel a special amount of burn because this was my dark horse for the movie bracket, which was
yes, this movie, and I'm like, this unless they do something special with this, but this feels like if this movie came out before Guardians of the Galaxy, I think people would enjoy it far more because of the irreverent style of humor, some of the jokes, the Jack Black claptrap of it all.
Could have made a mark. Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah, I was just, going in with, first of all, the hope that it was going to do well. But then again, even, you said, look at this Rotten Tomatoes score at 7%. I think it's up to 10. That there's
30%
something.
critics. So you can look at critic, because I always say look at critics like rating. Like Rotten Tomatoes is like the worst thing in the world because quite honestly, there could be a movie that has 100% Rotten Tomatoes and they just thought the movie was not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
That's not the best movie in the world. It just means there weren't negative reviews.
Right. Exactly correct. So yeah, I was I didn't much care for it, but yeah, you're right.
That's fine.
Worst movie ever. No doubt about it. But I would have liked to have done
the last Transformer movie was worse than this.
The last
Beast movie, the Beast Rise of the Beast.
Yeah. I think
I mean that movie bored the hell out of me.
April and I were, maybe it was because it was a Friday night and it was so bad, but we both definitely napped during.
Charlie, you fall asleep at like even movies you like, you fall asleep. So I don't take that as a negative.
Well, in this case, the stars aligned. All right, well, let's move on. But yes, I mentioned last week that we were watching Young Sheldon, which is on Max. I know, voodoo hoodoo. But we've really fallen in love with it and just kind of been watching it. And our morning shows are not on right now. So like Colbert is off and After Midnight is off. So this is the one we turn on and watch during the week. We're not paying attention to the hilarity that is the political cycle, which is fun too. But Todd, have you ever sampled an episode or like me?
Charlie, I think the kid is about annoying as hell. I don't like the parents. I don't like
Yeah.
any of the stuff, man.
So
It's not for me.
So you've watched it, is what you're saying.
I have. I watched a couple. I'm like, man, this is not making me laugh one bit. The kid, I want to slap him. And I think the witty, the Southern charm thing doesn't pay out for me.
Boy, not even Annie
Yeah.
Potts. I forgot. I was trying to remember the classic show that she was on. It was Designing Women, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Sheldon works because he's an adult and he's very awkward. There's a lot of awkward kids out there.
He really does deserve to be slapped. I agree with you. But I found out, and we haven't gotten this far in the show, but it's getting another spin. We knew about this. It's getting another spinoff. That they're spinning
Yes.
off the brother, and because apparently the brother has a baby. Well, a woman has a baby by him later on in the show, and they're spinning that off. So the cast is coming back, but not Sheldon. So anyway, it's cute and endearing to us. That's okay. I see where you're coming from. But yeah,
You try to keep selling us on it though, Charlie.
you know what I mean? But again, it's funny you should say it that way, because this was one of those that, like, it's on in a hotel lobby or it's on in a bar and you're like, oh, young Sheldon. But then it was my uncle Tim, who was our Patreon, who said, God, I love that show. And blah, blah, blah.
Charlie,
like, oh,
he's also he's also the CBS demographic.
That's very true. That's very true. But we were also really love Big Bang Theory. So, but I thought, I couldn't be the same, because it's not a traditional sitcom, single camera in front of the audience. It's
it's a lot like Wonder Year or Wonder Years or one of those type of shows where it's a look back. Yeah,
exactly correct. So yes, look back to, and it's funny, we're 3 seasons in and it's still 1989 sort of, but it's also I think a year, it's like a 1 year passes for every 2 seasons. So that's good. That's stuff to do with kids though, because they age, but the kids don't seem to be that much older anyway. So all right, well, that takes us out of the Geek Easy. Todd, the time awaits. Got to get out that Air Qantas app, get us to the land down under, where Hologram Tina and the mutants await to hear us talk about the worst adaptations of all time. Let's go.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained. And this week, we're covering off worst adaptations. This can be a movie, a comic book, a TV show, or an already existing movie, or a cartoon. It can be anything that's been adapted from something.
You mean like, I'll tell you my least favorite trend, and Disney keeps plugging it along, is turning animated projects from the last 30 years into live action films. And they're doing it again. They're doing another Lion King. They did the Aladdin. I think I saw part of that because my son got sick middle way and we walked out. But it's like Moana. Isn't that one that it's still animated and they're making it live action? No, I'm just shaking. Was that a shaking?
Well, there is. I mean, basically, they're making a live action film. True.
Yeah.
They're also making a sequel, or they made a sequel.
Well, yeah, that's what I was.
Out this fall, right?
Yeah, well, it was in the D23, but no, they went animated, live action, back to animated. Is there any connect?
Well, no, it'll be. I think it's going to be animated, then live action.
Oh, I get you're right, because the live action one comes out right. So I'm just like, what is this? I don't know. It's a trend that I
money,
can't,
Charlie. It's money.
It's a money trend. All right, but we, before we get into breaking that down, the wonderful folks on our Patreon, and again, or not our Patreon, excuse me, our Discord. And if you're not on our Discord, it is the friendliest, most fantastic Discord in all of Discordoms, and the most popular. But don't verify that, because it could just be me talking out 2 sides of my mouth. We had a couple of folks that chimed in with their thoughts. First and foremost was our friend Gimpy J. Again, we'll just give code names, not give away people's true identities. Echoed something that Todd and I were talking in the B-roll about. Gimpy J says the opening to the Flash movie. I don't even know what the opening to the Flash movie was.
It was the babies when he was saving the babies from the hospital, Charlie.
I didn't like any of the movie, but the opening almost had me walk out. Okay. All right.
It's not for everybody, and obviously the way it performed at the box office, it wasn't for many.
Yeah, exactly correct. Schloss Ritter, who is one of our most active Discord users, so thank you, Schloss, posted the Super Mario Brothers film from 1990, 1991, maybe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 1990, I believe. Yeah.
But he said, yes, took them 30 years to get over this.
Oh yeah, Nintendo. Holy crap. They didn't let anybody do anything with their properties. After the story about how this was made, very good story.
Oh gosh, my
Bob
goodness.
Hoskins, John Leguizamo, and Dennis Hopper.
Oh my gosh. And then we had a couple chime-ins from Jordan. She's a very nice young lady who's part of our Grant Petoskey Star Trek fan club chapter here in West Michigan. She says Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban's adaptation lost the entire heart.
Oh, I like that movie a lot.
Oh,
too.
I can't speak to that because I've never read the books, but I'll take your word
I was
for
going
it.
to say, I think I fell
Yeah.
off the books by that point. Just watch the movies.
Yeah, I hear ya. She says also Avatar, The Last Airbender movie, and the Percy Jackson movies. PJ movie in parentheses, PJ movies are still fun, but just not as good as an adaptation. Yeah,
I agree. Avatar: Last Airbender by M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, that is
he obviously was
famously
not familiar
bad.
with the material.
Right. That is tough, and that's a very common scenario with people who jump into adapting something. And I always bring this reference back, but you had Stuart Baird, who was a cinematographer and a director, who directed Star Trek Nemesis, which was the last Star Trek: The Next Generation film, that he very famously had notes about him saying, well, isn't Geordi an alien? And he changed the pitch of Worf's voice. And he just did a lot of really weird shit with the characters that someone who had reverence for the franchise wouldn't do. So yeah, I get it. From a Star Trek perspective, I get it. So, all right, well, let's do this list. Todd, I've been talking. You kick it off. What do you see here that speaks to you?
So yeah, we've got our list from Total Film, and they have a list of 50 of the worst adaptations. So we're going to do a little bit of a pick and choose, but I'll pick the first one, Daredevil 2003. Now, I agree, not a good film, but I personally enjoyed it. Got a bootleg copy and watched it in Saudi Arabia. That Evanescence song was amazing. I don't care what everybody says, but yes, taking on we got Elektra in that film, not very good. A fight on a teeter-totter, and then we also had the Kingpin, who was played by Michael Clark Duncan.
Correct, the late Michael Clark Duncan.
Yes.
We actually this spun an indirect sequel that was Elektra, which we actually watched after we saw Deadpool.
That was
wow. Super duper forgettable. Yeah, and Goran Vijanik from ER was the male lead in that. Yeah, it was very honestly filmed in it was very Canada. You can always tell when something's filmed in and around Vancouver because it's usually all the same actors who are in everything, all those Supernatural and Battlestar and all those shows from that era. So all right, let's get to strolling until I find one. Oh God. I see the Dukes of Hazzard. Yikes! I mean,
never saw it.
Yeah, what's the yard strip on that one? So let me keep strolling.
Oh, Burt Reynolds was Boss Hog. Fantastic.
Now we have to say it. Let's see here. We have I never saw the Land of the Lost adaptation, but I mean Will Ferrell. I love Will Ferrell. I love Danny McBride. Todd, my browser doesn't like your page, keeps trying to crash it. So if I drop out for a sec, that's why. All right, you take a couple. By all means.
I actually liked the Land of the Lost film, but it was Land of the Lost, man. I grew up with that stuff, and it was a dumb show, and we got a dumb movie. Yeah, so hey,
yeah. What do you expect it to be? Oh, here's one. Now, Todd, as a gamer. Starring The Rock and is that Carl Urban? Doom? I remember Doom. That was an early video game that you're just walking down a corridor and a zombie pops out and you're like, yeah, but yeah, what are they going to do with the source material there?
It was before The Rock and before Carl Urban were real people, and they just bad movie, and then they actually had one.
They were animated.
Yeah, exactly. But once again, the source material of Doom, it's a Marine that fights demons. What are you gonna do? There's no script.
Oh my God.
There's no source material except shoot and don't die. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, please.
There was a first person scene, like the video game, and people are like, that's all they still remember from that. Yes, so that's the only memorable part. I don't think that
there's anything else. Now, we talked about this on the Patreon. I believe I pushed it to the free feed at some point, but 1999's Wing Commander, it was on our Patreon show, which is A Bad Trip, the movie with the Cardins. April and I do that one. We had Todd on as a guest because Todd has a great firsthand story of why he saw this movie. Todd, tell us again.
Yes, I was screwed over by George Lucas because when back before YouTube existed, you could see trailers online. This was one of the movies you could see the Star Wars Phantom Menace trailer, and I went to it.
You lost twice.
I did lose twice, although the trailer was pretty cool of Phantom Menace. Yeah. Like, what is this thing? I'm in, and then I had to watch
it was a great sizzle reel. There's no doubt.
Yeah. Then I had to watch Wing Commander with Freddie Prinze Jr. and Yeah, they let the creator of the video game make this movie, and never do that. Never do that. Get a director.
No. Get it. All right, we got a 1-2 punch here with these next two. 1986's Howard the Duck, which technically launched the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Don't dispute me. And this was great, Todd. One of the future things you and I are going to do is break down this great documentary that I watched about the history of Canon Films, which was a dynasty in the 1980s. But I never realized this. They produced Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
That makes total sense.
And every penny is on the screen. It was funny because what they said in this documentary, which will, again, you and I will do this in an upcoming Thunderdome segment, Christopher Reeve didn't want to come back. He said he wanted to do a story about a Superman actually making a difference in eliminating nuclear war, and we got this. Howard the Duck, we don't even need to get started.
Well, he did eliminate Nuclear Man and his long fingernails.
Yeah, April and I did do Howard the Duck on Bad Trip to the Movies with Carden, so eventually you'll hear that one as well. All right, Todd.
I mean, Howard the Duck, I remember I went to that with my friend's mother, and we all went, and I'm like, oh, she had to see duck boobs in front of kids.
Duck boobs. Woo!
I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Oh my God.
All right, take it away.
See. Oh yes, Lost in Space.
Oh, Todd, I'll never forget, and I'm going to steal it back. For some reason, when Todd and I were living together, because this came out in 1998, there was a trading card with Matt LeBlanc, who is the star. He was Colonel West or whatever. Lost in Space was the original series. Jonathan Sennick and I talked about it on the Patreon. Again, I keep kicking it back. But Todd saw this card and took a Post-it note, cut it out in the shape of a word bubble, and wrote, "Yo, Chandler, I'm a spaceman. Feel my heat," which was a quote from Boogie Nights, and I will never forget. That was mwah. That was top. That was top form. That was top form.
Yeah, it was classic, classic Todd. But yeah, this movie where they tried to take a goofy '60s series and try to make it edgy and cool and hip. They had a really bad CGI like creature, and Gary Oldman played Dr. Smith, and I think I appreciate his effort, but there's nothing like Dr. Smith. I mean, he is essentially, he was
heart and soul of that show. All right, what do we? Oh, we got here now. Todd, you're a big fan of the Scooby-Doo film from 2002, correct? Because
yes,
it's James Gunn.
James Gunn. He made the first two. I thought they nailed it. I thought they nailed the tone. It was goofy. It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. You see, they say the CGI Scooby was a travesty, and Freddie Prinze Jr. again back on our list. No good. That's rough. Resident Evil, we blasted through those movies because there was a prequel recently. Holy shit, these are bad. And this first one was particularly dreadful. But again, source material, right?
Oh yeah. The first game, Charlie, it was like, it's got lines like, they'll make you a Jill sandwich. I mean, it's just bad writing, but it's supposed to be cheesy, schlocky horror. Right. So I thought the first movie actually was the best one, which is just so sad to say because they're all bad. It's Paul W.S. Anderson, Charlie.
Well, dude, it's just going to go downhill. He ended up marrying the star, though, so good for him. All right, we'll pick up the pace a little bit. Ghost Rider from 2007. Again, you're going to say something Nicolas Cage is in is not great? What the hell? Oh
yeah, my God. What was this? Wes Bentley? He played the bad guy in that. It's like where he'd been since American. American. Charlie, what about Dreamcatcher? Now that's a movie I never saw.
No, I did. Back in 2002. Jason Lee, and then you had the British dude who was in Band of Brothers, and he's in Billions or one of those shows. Yeah. He was in what the hell was that? Homeland. It wasn't he the star of that show? Yeah.
And Billions,
I don't remember it being, and again, April being such a huge Stephen King fan, I won't say we've seen everyone, but we've seen most of them. And I don't remember, I've seen it the one time 22 years ago. So I have rarely recollection if it's really bad. And again, if you don't know the source material, just like you were saying about Borderlands, how do you really evaluate it? You evaluate it free you evaluate it free of the source material. All right, 1989's The Punisher. I mean, Dolph Lundgren. And this was nearly on the heels of him being He-Man, and again, Canon Films producing the Masters of the Universe in 1987. How do you consider it good or bad? You know what I mean? It just kind of is. So, I mean, is it the worst then? Because then we got Thomas Jane was the Punisher, and then we finally got the late, great Ray Stevens as it was just the Punisher War Journal, where
Stevenson.
it was just
Yeah.
it was just a campy. I mean, there was a scene. The first scene was a mobster's dinner table where he lops a woman's head off and twists some other guy's neck off. Like, it was like graphically ridiculous.
I never saw. I've not seen the other two Punisher films. I haven't seen any of the Punisher films, quite honestly. But if any movie was going to do well, like from a realistic and easy to make, the Punisher seems like the easiest like Marvel property to do because he's essentially just a vigilante.
He's just a dude with
a
guns
shirt.
And stuff, you have to
Dude with a shirt.
So.
T-shirt, Charlie, guns.
Right.
That's all you need. Probably don't pick a foreign dude that doesn't even have black hair. Maybe that's a good thing.
Right.
What about the Bewitched film? Because I loved Bewitched as a series.
I know that I haven't seen it. Will Ferrell and Nicole Kidman, right? Do you think they pulled it off? Okay.
With Shirley MacLaine playing. Well, no, I never saw it, so I'm like,
you didn't?
I don't know. Yeah,
apparently
this was. They did a thing where they were trying to make it a TV, like a behind the scenes of a TV series with the real witch doing a Bewitched. Yeah, a little too deep, maybe a little too many layers.
I hear you. All right, now this is a favorite of April's, and I've not played the game, but it does have the most infamous use of bad early development. That would be Lara Croft, Tomb Raider from 2001. This was at the beginning of the high times for Angelina Jolie. It was very of the time with the music and this says what they got it wrong, failing to come up with a decent plot and decent characters. But again, the plot and the characters come from a video game. Thank goodness Jolie's at least watchable. That seems very sexist, but I happen to agree.
Well, I mean, it's Indiana Jones. This is exactly what it was. It was Indiana Jones, but more of a modern take on Indiana Jones. I mean, so it should be pretty easy to do, but nobody really. Indiana Jones can't even Indiana Jones anymore. So I don't know. Maybe it's
as proved by last summer's film. Now we rewatched this right after Deadpool and Wolverine, because Johnny Storm was a character in that. Chris Evans. Sorry about the spoiler. We've already done it. I love the Fantastic Four 2005. It's dumb. They don't really handle the origin part of it very well. But it is very much of the time with all of the pop punk music and the implausible like plot development, like Ben Grimm having a fiance who sees him in action as the thing and then takes off her engagement ring and sets it down on the ground and walks away in a crowd full of business. Like and now this is perhaps a good description. It's so feather light, it ends up being a complete flyaway. It is. Yeah, there's no gravitas. Dr. Doom, the whole Dr. Doom piece is really handled poorly, but it's better than the sequel. Let's face it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got one that's horrible. I don't know if you saw this film, Charlie, but
Mortal
Kombat, which I enjoyed for being a movie about a fighting tournament. But it looked like a video game on the screen, and it was highly enjoyable. Like, it is what it is. It's basically a Rocky type film, but with really super crazy characters. The second film, holy crap! This is a movie where I don't know what they're smoking.
They don't need to take it to a place where it doesn't need to go.
Oh my God.
Kind of one step beyond.
Script horrible, special effects horrible, and just the plot. I mean, I played the games and I'm like, this even seems a little too crazy for me. It made no sense.
Even believe it. No, yeah. I like this. I like this next one, but again, I know you're holding it up against a classic film, but 2002 is The Time Machine. Now, this was with Guy Pearce, and I think was the villain, was it Gary Oldman or was it Jeremy Irons? Jeremy Irons. Yeah, played the head Morlock, and this is about a scientist around the turn of the 20th century who makes a time machine, and he's trying to what you saw Doctor Strange doing in What If. He's trying to undo history so that his girlfriend comes back, but then he ends up getting blasted into the incredibly distant future where humanity has fallen and people are living underground, or there's Morlocks and yada yada yada. But
it's the time machine.
I enjoyed it, but it's all down to the cast again. That supporting cast doesn't do anything to pump up Guy Pearce. I think
it's of a time. It's of a time.
Comes right back to Super Mario Brothers, which we've already talked about. It says everything is terrible across the board. Casting, tone, story. It's so bad that even the film's cast hate it. That's not good. All right, what else? Oh God, we're down into the druthers here. Well,
here's one, Charlie. Here's one for you. The Thunderbirds. Oh my goodness.
That was directed by Jonathan Frakes. It was the film that ruined his career as a feature film director. I heard it
based on the classic puppet marionette TV show of the 60s.
What could go wrong? What could go wrong? I don't know. I could never know. It's just
it's pretty bad. So do you have one? I went through all these films. Obviously, Catwoman it's a movie I've never seen. I don't want to see it, but I know that was horrible. But is there a movie or even a TV show that you're like, man, can't believe they did that to something I loved?
God, I'm struggling. Now I feel like I'm under the gun. This does give a mention of the thing that killed Batman for the screen, Batman and Robin in 1997.
Oh,
but yeah, Bat Nipples, Alicia
Shoemaker.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh my God, I don't know. You go first, and maybe it'll inspire me. I'm not.
It's too easy, and it hurts me to this day. Green Lantern. I mean, talk about has so much promise. It started like, oh, this is actually going to nail it. Where they're on Oa doing the training. I'm like, okay, it looks pretty good. Not bad. The suit's kind of dumb.
Yep. Yeah.
And then what do? It's like He-Man. We're not going to see an attorney. We're going to go to Earth and hang out there because it's cool. Earth is cool.
Earth
rather
is super
than the expensive
cool.
budget. Yeah. Versus the Eternia.
Earth is cool and it's affordable. You got to remember that
exactly.
Earth is affordable. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. But then we got Green Lantern, Hal Jordan going back on Earth, away from all the cool Guardians. There's a bad dude who gets Hector Hammond, who gets a really weird looking head. He's
Creepy
impacted
mullet.
by Parallax, which is quite honestly, Parallax shouldn't have been even a part of this movie because Parallax was like so many years in the future of the comics and everything.
Too
exactly.
Advanced. Too advanced.
And then the Green Lantern Corps can't help them. So of course, yes, the Green Lantern Corps was called away. Like the Avengers are never there. I'm like, and then it was just horrible film. And now we got Ryan Reynolds making, crapping on Green Lantern. So now it's like anybody who wants to be Green Lantern now, it's like, I mean, it's like saying it was like the Aquaman film they were always going to make on Entourage, right? This is kind of where we have the Green Lantern now. So yes, I don't know what happened. I know Joe Johnson. I think Joe Johnson directed that film. He also directed Captain America. The first Captain America. So I'm like,
and the Rocketeer. It's just a superior. Rocketeer's another adaptation, which I mean, again, and not having seen the source material, I thought it was great. But I can't think of something I truly. Well, there you go, G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe G.I. Joe in particular. I love G.I. Joe, but I'm not this huge dyed-in-the-wool Snake Eyes fan. We covered that on Bad Trip to the Movie. We talked about Snake Eyes a few months ago, but just in the first film in general, where we needed to put him in Iron Man suits and we need to have Cobra Commander have a crazy getup, and let's still keep the focus on the ninjas, which was never my favorite part of G.I. Joe. I liked the military stuff, you know what I mean? Because it was the 80s and how they needed to have a real American hero be an international force. So they had all these different factions of different militaries. The pit was in the middle of the Arabian desert. It was directed by the guy who did The Mummy, so he brought that into it. It was just completely destroyed everything that was beloved about both the comic and the cartoon series from the 80s. So there you go. Yeah. Thanks I took a long way around, but I got there.
Yeah, Channing Tatum with his horrible I'm accent. You got one of the quickest Wayne's brother
in
do
it.
that.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
You're right. You're like we're doing Pride and Prejudice, but here's a Wayne's brother.
Now, guys, I made a mistake. Charlie wasn't Joe Johnson who directed Green Campbell, who directed Casino Royale, a great
wow.
This is what he did.
So what went wrong? Was it the it must have been the script or studio?
I gotta imagine the script.
Yeah.
Greg Berlanti from the CW. Mike, all
the same guys. Oh my god,
CW show on the screen.
Gotcha. Oh my god. Well, that takes us to the end of this. So Todd, we are on a hiatus next week. Todd, at Fan Expo in Chicago. It's the first time we've been at a show. It's 2021, and it's the first time we've been. Fan Expo in Chicago. It used to be the Wizard.
C2E2. We did C2E2 the last time, I think.
Yeah, that was Todd and I
Or
rekindled.
did we go to C2E2?
Yeah.
Was
21. John was
Yeah.
there as well. But when we first went 2010, that was when Todd and I had a lot more time. We'd always stayed in touch, but it was the first time we actually got to really together with so many years apart. And it probably that and led to this show. So we do actually. So I'm expecting we're going to have an incredible time. Something that we do. So we have a lot of friends who are going to be there.
Yeah, a lot of time to
is
meet
going to be
people.
there.
Yeah.
So that'll be a great bevy of hosts. So hopefully, if you're listening to Expo, blow us up on the Discord. Let us know. We'll be eating and drinking and having fun. We're staying in around as opposed to being at a hotel far away. But I'm the chauffeur. I'm picking Todd up, and then Todd's flying in. And we're just gonna be hanging. Come check us out. Hit us up on the Discord. Todd, where do people find you out there if they want to talk to you about?
Yeah, at the threads, at Toxtra, at Secret. If you want to hit us up on the socials, you can either at Toxtra or at Secret Friends Unite or Marks, and because that's probably easier. But you can just message us there. We're also on group, still has a messenger service.
It lives. Yes, exactly. But yeah, as you said, the Discord is where I spend a lot of my time, but I am on Instagram and Threads at the C3 TheCeeThree spelled out. But yeah, I do a lot of other fun little projects. My wife April and I do have a membership free Star Trek little group called the United Trekkers of Michigan. You don't have to be in Michigan, and all we have is a Discord where we talk about Star Trek and have a good time. And that's where we're living. Also, again, patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. Visit us for a free 7-day trial and check out everything we've got to offer. And with that, I will bid you all adieu. I'll tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
And a truck.
I'm old.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.